Sheryl Swoopes. So I've missed you, Sheryl. Goodness gracious, Sheryl Swoopes. So I have missed the one and only Sheryl Swoopes.
Sheryl Swoopes must be eating a 5-course meal of humble pie right now because, let's be honest, her latest take aged worse than a gallon of milk during summer. Just a few months ago, she was on her high horse, puffing out her chest and boldly proclaiming that the Indiana Fever, yes, the same team now making headlines, would never, and I mean never, be able to attract top-tier free agents.
There's a lot of other shit going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Over there.
Yeah.
Fast forward to today, and well, Indiana just pulled off one of the greatest free agency runs in WNBA history.
Forget about any of these other teams. The Fever just won free agency. And I'm telling you why you know the Fever won free agency.
Meanwhile, Swoopes is sitting there looking like a broken Magic 8 ball, shaking and shaking, but still getting every prediction wrong. Let's rewind and take a closer look, shall we? Sheryl Swoopes is a Hall of Famer, a legend, no doubt. But these days, she's clocking in as a full-time hater with overtime hours.
So last year, during the Gilbert Arenas podcast, Sheryl Swoopes famously was trying to stir the pot. All right, or as I like to call it or refer to it as, start some shit.
When she spoke on the Gills Arena podcast, she said with full confidence that Indiana wouldn't be a desirable landing spot for free agents, all because of supposed locker room issues.
So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like, I don't
want to be here.
This is where I want to be.
Yeah,
this year.
now listen.
And yet, here we are. The contracts are signed, the ink is dry, and the Indiana Fever have completed building their dream team. Meanwhile, Swoopes is probably somewhere squinting at her phone, scrolling through the news, whispering, "No way, this can't be real." Oh, but it is, Sheryl. It is very real.
So Sheryl Swoopes has said quite a lot of things. About the Indiana Fever. And they've just all been wrong.
The Indiana Fever have signed back-to-back superstars, including Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner, and Sophie Cunningham. Even Sydney Colson, Asia Wilson's bestie, decided to pack her bags and move to Indiana.
It was just announced yesterday that two-time WNBA champion Sydney Colson is signing a 1-year deal with the Indiana Fever. Colson, who spent the last 3 seasons in Las Vegas, brings veteran pedigree and experience in the backcourt to a surging Fever.
This team didn't just win free agency, they ran laps around the competition while Sheryl sat there, still convinced Caitlin Clark was just a college phenom who wouldn't translate to the WNBA. And here's the best part. When Colson was asked why she chose Indiana, she didn't hesitate. She said the first person she hit up was Kelsey Mitchell, a close friend, and that she heard nothing but good things about Caitlin Clark from her Aces teammate, Kate Martin. In other words, Caitlin's reputation and Indiana's growing chemistry sealed the deal.
I feel like this signing, of all of the moves that the Fever have made during this free agency season, this one has been the most shocking for a lot of fans. Firstly, because Sydney Colson seemed to be a key piece to the Las Vegas Aces, and it seemed like that Las Vegas Aces group is kind of falling.
Now remember, this is the same Sheryl Swoopes who claimed that Caitlin Clark would take years to adjust to the WNBA. Years. The same Caitlin Clark who just finished her rookie season breaking records left and right, casually dropping 40 points like it was a light jog through the park.
To me, what Caitlin's been able to do in a short period of time has been very impressive. Because I know people are like, oh my God, you said she wouldn't be good. But I didn't say she wouldn't be good. What I said was I didn't think Caitlin or Angel would come into the league and dominate immediately, which I don't think either of them did.
Meanwhile, Sheryl's takes are aging like fine milk, spoiled and completely undrinkable.
There's no way that anyone could ever leave this season in saying that both Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese didn't dominate. You would have to further explain what dominance means for you to not sit here and say that a player who is leading the league in assists while averaging 19 to 20 points didn't dominate that.
At this point, hating on Caitlin Clark is practically an Olympic sport, and Sheryl Swoopes is gunning for the gold. In fact, she's sweeping the podium, gold, silver, and bronze, standing there looking salty while the national anthem plays in the background. Caitlin Clark wouldn't translate to the WNBA? Tell that to the Indiana Fever, who are now collecting elite talent like they're assembling the Avengers.
I'm just going to point this out right here. Yeah, this person. No one wants to play with Clark. Yeah, that whoever had that take, Whoever believed that?
Clark isn't just adjusting, she's thriving. And Indiana, they're thriving right alongside her.
You look at the jersey sales, you look at the attendance, you look at the eyes that actually watching the game.
Everything is up.
You'd be foolish to think that there's not a correlation.
Let's not kid ourselves. The real reason some of these WNBA veterans and so-called legends can't stand Caitlin Clark is simple. She didn't wait in line. She didn't politely tap them on the shoulder and ask if it was okay to shine. Nope. She walked in, smashed 62 rookie records, stole the spotlight, and elevated the entire league into the global consciousness. And oh, does that burn them up inside?
Certain people, they're just polarizing.
Yeah.
There are going to be people, a certain level, there are going to be a number of people that love them, and they're going to generate a certain level of hate, a vitriol.
Always.
Caitlin Clark didn't need anyone's permission to become the face of women's basketball. She's got more global recognition than half the league combined, and that's not her fault. That's just what happens when you're a generational talent.
2024 was the year of Caitlin Clark, and I think it's about time that we all crown her as the face. As Caitlin Clark raised the profile of women's basketball to unprecedented levels in both the college ranks and the WNBA, and Tuesday she was named the AP Female Athlete of the Year for her impact on and off.
Sheryl Swoopes, Angel Reese, Aja Wilson, and the entire anti-Caitlin Clark club are just going to have to sit with Clark's success. And while they're busy hating, Caitlin is out here stacking accolades, selling out arenas, and turning the Indiana Fever into the hottest ticket in town.
So the Indiana Fever just won free agency. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. This team right here just won WNBA.
And let's pause for a second to appreciate the magnitude of this moment. The Indiana Fever, yes, the team that was once the doormat of the league, the franchise that was treated like a WNBA afterthought, is now the center of the basketball universe. They went from being an after-school special to primetime television.
They have added 3 unbelievable players. You have got 2 multiple-time champion for DeWanna Bonner, I'm not sure, and that definitely a champion with Phoenix. Multiple-time champion Natasha Howard, and for lack of a better word, the biggest wind-up artist in the WNBA in Sophie Cunningham.
They're the team everyone wants to play for, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is what moving the needle looks like.
You know, a lot of people say that Caitlin Clark moves the needle. That is wrong. She is the needle. She dictates. We all know what she's done on the floor. It's history, right?
So, Sheryl, what happened to players not wanting to go to Indiana? Who exactly were you talking to? Because the players that matter, the ones who can actually make a difference, are signing with the Fever like they just got an exclusive invite to the VIP section of the most elite club in town. Did she really think Caitlin Clark would have to beg people to join her? Be serious.
Now listen, there's a lot of play more. What kind of things you
I'm not in the locker room.
Okay.
Somebody check on Sheryl because she's clearly stuck in 2002, back when the Fever were dragging themselves through mediocrity like it was a team-building exercise. Sis, times have changed. This isn't Tamika Catchings trying to carry a roster full of part-time gym teachers. The Indiana Fever are stacked, and Sheryl's caught red-handed in her lies against the Fever.
She literally went and made up. Sheryl Swoopes literally made up that there was locker room drama in the...
That's correct. The Fever are not caught up in any team drama. On the contrary, they have assembled some of the best free agents in their team. Let's talk about what they got. First up, Natasha Howard, a champion, a defensive beast, and a certified bucket getter.
Overall, my overview is Natasha Howard comes across as extremely humble. Seems like a sweetheart. Seems like someone who's so grateful to be back home where her career started. And I sensed a humility in her. And she also, it's not always easy to do, but she also has quite a bit of confidence. So to be able to have that confidence and be humble is a beautiful thing.
When asked about joining the team, she didn't hesitate to hype it up. It's gonna be the Caitlin Clark show.
It's gonna be Caitlin Clark Flash Show. So it's gonna be phenomenal playing with a point guard, like you said, that have a good vision on the court, because that's like as soon as she gets the ball in her hand, she's throwing it.
And you know what? She's not wrong. If you have a teammate like Clark, you'd be hard-pressed to find a more suitable candidate as a playmaker. But she's not the only player who's got the fans excited. They have also got DeWanna Bonner, a 6'4" elite scorer, and one of the most respected players in the league.
Caitlin Clark's got quite the supporting cast. for the upcoming WNBA season, as there was a massive signing, free agency signing earlier this morning. DeWanna Bonner going from the Connecticut Sun to the Indiana Fever.
She even went to Twitter war with all the Fever critics. Now that's the kind of energy you want on your squad.
All right, look at these accolades right here. That 2015 all-defensive team, 3-time 6 Woman of the Year, 15 points last year, 6 boards. No doubt, 6'4", folks. Going to be a presence at forward.
And next up, we have Sophie Cunningham, bringing in the spice, the swagger, and enough trash talk to rattle an entire arena.
Sophie Cunningham, the Indiana Fever, picked up Miss Cunningham. And so interesting because she said back in October, I think.
And guess what? She wanted to play with Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston.
Why does everybody hate Caitlin Clark? And do you hate Caitlin Clark? Come on, talk
dude.
to me.
Absolutely not. I think that she's a gem. I didn't know her, but All-Star Weekend, we kind of bantered back and forth a little bit. And she's lovely. She has a lot of pressure on her shoulders. And I think a lot of people always have a lot to say with people they don't even know or shoes they've never been in. And for me, I think she's handling the pressure very well. She's doing a lot of great things for women's basketball. And I'm a fan. Like, I would love to play with her one day.
That's right. Sophie was very excited to play with Caitlin Clark. Fast forward to now, it seems like her wish has been fulfilled as she joins forces with the Indiana Fever. And here's the most interesting signing, Sydney Colson.
And Sydney Colson is being signed by the Indiana Fever. Look, at best, she's a character actor, right? 2.5 points a game, like 1 assist a game, backup point guard. The Aces locker room loved her.
Even if she's not logging big minutes, she's about to turn that Fever locker room into the most fun, high-energy, team-first environment we've ever seen. Chemistry through the roof.
Met one of the greatest people in the world, Caitlin Clark, who's like just ran the basketball world. So I think together we hope to make you guys proud. We hope to make you guys feel like you're a part of our success and our journey. And
are we starting to see a pattern here? These players didn't just sign random deals. They chose to be in Indiana. They chose to play with the Fab Four: Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Lexi Hull. So while Sheryl Swoopes is somewhere drafting her next bad take, the Indiana Fever are out here building a dynasty.
This is what Sheryl Swoopes had said. All right, quote, personally, here's where I think the Indiana Fever didn't do a very good job, and that was with Kelsey Mitchell, who's an unrestricted free agent. Swoopes shared, because Kelsey Mitchell had a hell of a season this season, and I don't think she got the credit that she deserved.
Maybe it's time someone handed Sheryl some glasses, because at this point, she's not even talking about the Fever. Maybe she meant the Las Vegas Aces, who are seeing cracks in their armor, or the Chicago Sky, who are in shambles, or the Connecticut Sun, who are trying to keep their squad intact. Because the Fever? Oh, they're thriving.
Basically talking about the winners and losers of WNBA free agency. So obviously, my prediction is winners, Mercury, Fever. Natasha Howard is huge. It is absolutely huge. DeWanna Bonner's huge. And also, Sophie Cunningham is really good at basketball.
Sheryl Swoopes really thought she was dropping some groundbreaking knowledge on the Gills Arena podcast. She hopped on that mic with the confidence of someone revealing state secrets, but all she exposed was her own credibility, or whatever was left of it.
And I didn't have it up long, and I looked at some of the comments, and a couple people, in just a few comments, had mentioned Sheryl Swoopes, and it caused me to kind of chuckle a little.
Honestly, are we even surprised anymore? Sheryl's out here delivering bad takes like it's her full-time job. And if there were a Hall of Fame for awful opinions, she'd be a first ballot unanimous selection.
She made a point to state that people were unhappy in Indiana. She claims to have sources or what she's heard, but we know by now that every time Sheryl Swoopes opens her mouth, it's a lie. It's just another lie. It's lie after lie after lie after lie.
That's right, Sheryl's prediction of Mitchell not signing to the Fever just proved to be a clear lie, and she must be skulking in the shadows right now. Sheryl was out here boldly claiming that no star free agent in their right mind would sign with the Indiana Fever. "Nobody wants to play with Caitlin Clark," she said. "She's not as good as y'all think," she insisted. "The Fever aren't a desirable destination," she confidently declared. And yet, here we are. Every major free agent the Fever targeted, boom, signed, sealed, and delivered.
She wanted to make it sound like Kelsey Mitchell wanted out of Indiana. She wanted to create this narrative of nonsense. She wanted to do everything in her power to create some level of doubt. Well,
I'm a Fever girl again. I'm a Fever girl. I'm excited.
What are your comments now, Sheryl?
And what did Sheryl have to say when all these new signings were announced? Crickets. Absolute crickets. The woman who had all the smoke for Caitlin Clark suddenly forgot how to use her Twitter fingers. Interesting? But don't worry, y'all. Give it a few weeks, and she'll be back with some new excuse for why Clark and the Fever are still somehow overrated. So let's give a round of applause for Indiana Fever, for proving all the haters wrong, for stacking their roster with elite talent, and for showing the world that Caitlin Clark isn't just a generational talent, she's a game changer, a franchise-altering force, and the reason why Indiana is now the team to beat.